Detroit. Thank you so much for tuning in to Beauty and the D. We're back. It's 2025. Happy New Year. We're feeling good. We're feeling revived. And this is actually our first show of the year. And so in 2024, I have never disappointed you all. We always bring the best guests and the best information and Detroit's movers and shakers. So we starting the year out today with none other than Mr. Herb Strather, owner of Strather Associates and Strather Academy. Welcome, Happy New Year.
Thank you, and happy New Year to you. Thank you so much, Stephanie, for me being on your show. And I didn't realize it was the first one.
Yeah.
So that's great. That's a great way for us to get started.
Great way.
Thank
I
you
took
so
a
much.
nice little break. I needed to relax and, revive and yeah.
Yeah, we got to step back, recharge,
Yes.
lay out our plans, lay out our goals,
Yep.
and make it happen.
That's what we do.
Yes.
That's what we do. And you are just the definition of making it happen. Before we came on live today, I was just telling you how good you look. I
Oh,
mean,
thank you.
you are one person who inspires me. You're just a wealth of information, and you're just very motivational. And as you so eloquently stated before we came on, you're an optimist.
Oh, I'm definitely an optimist, but let me tell you, you're very motivational yourself, young lady,
Thank
and
you.
you're looking fabulous.
Thank you.
I'll tell you right now. Let's get that straight.
So I am representing my Lions gear. I'm usually dressed up on the show. The Lions are really representing the city of Detroit. Everybody is looking at Detroit right now. All eyes on the D.
All eyes on the D.
I mean, Time Magazine is saying great things about this is a good place to visit and travel. Downtown is looking fabulous. But let's talk about some of the other places in Detroit. People have their eye on. What are people looking at?
Well, there's some other things too that is challenging, and not all of it is great news. It cries out for a solution.
Okay.
Now, if you were to say what is the most challenging thing right now in Detroit as far as worldwide perspective, what would you come up with? What you think? They say Detroit. Look at what's happening in Detroit right now.
Well, they talk about the crime. They talk about some of the negative things, but let's just be real.
Okay.
It's crime going on everywhere.
That's true.
Not just
Now,
the D.
let me be more specific. Me being in the real estate business,
Okay.
I look at this ideal of what's going to happen with the Renaissance Center as the most significant situation in Detroit. Now, if they take down 2 towers, there'll be 2 left. Now, they're saying they're going to take down 4 or all 5 and take it all down and start from the beginning. Now, I can understand how Mr. Gilbert might like that because he owns most of downtown with public money. And if we took off 2.8 million square feet, because each one of those towers is about 700,000 square feet.
Okay.
I mean, that would, and then redistribute whatever the remaining tenants throughout the city. I can understand his perspective. But how about our perspective from as far as Detroiters are concerned? I look at that as a very significant thing that we as Detroiters need to deal with. I look at.
But how can we deal with that?
Well, but I like to address the table first, if you don't
Okay.
mind. The other issue that I look at, and I want all of you who from Detroit Public Schools, I want to particularly talk to you all. In the Detroit Public Schools, there's 100,000 students, 100,000, that is not in the Detroit Public Schools. And I think there's a changer. We have to have a game changer. And, so what are our commitments? Now, we know what happened last November. We know what happened in the election. You know what time of day it is, and you know what Monday is all about.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. So right now, Detroiters, I look at it's our time to step up to the plate, no matter who we are. Step up or go home. Step up right now and fight for your finances, your future, your finances, forever. I mean, that's what we have to do. This is what I say.
In terms of education, you just stated that there are 100,000 students who are not in Detroit Public Schools.
Right.
Let's address that. Why do you think that is?
Okay, because times have changed, and we have not changed to deal with it. Now, I have a proposal that I have shared with BD, and we're in active discussion right now, as a matter of fact, about the proposal. And you know what it's about? It's about gamifying education.
Gamifying education.
Yes. If you want to know about that,
Explain.
you know, the idea, and it's not just gamified education, it is perhaps addressing, first of all, what is our most critical need. And I would say those kids that are homeless, that are not in school, and those who's
Kids
at the
that are
very
homeless
yeah
and not in school?
yeah. In other words, can we provide shelter? Like if we had an environment where they could live and still be in school. Now their parents might be homeless, but they should be in school. And so that's a key project that is very, very key to me that I want to make sure that I work with, because I want to start with the bottom. Well, that's not the hardest thing to do, you know.
I'm just asking.
Well,
How
I
do you
mean, I'm
find
sure they're in places now. Now, I'm not 100% up to stuff how we're going to do it, and I must also say that Vidi, I want to give him big credit, because Dr. Vidi's idea, and he shot to me, he said, now this is what we should, I like this focus, Herb, because I've told him, I am willing to die for little kids. Because when I was a little kid, I said, if I ever get out of this place, I'm going to help little kids escape, like me, to the good life. And right now, I got to get it on, because this is the fourth quarter. And right now, that's exactly what I want to do. So here's what I want to do. I want to do with one stone. I think I'm gonna do a proposal. I'm thinking of rolling out a ballot measure to create what I call a SEED, a special exploratory educational district. It'll be tax-free. Maybe I put a bid in to buy the Renaissance Center if anybody is interested.
Okay. Hey, you heard it here first. Herb Strather said he would put a bid in to buy the Renaissance. You heard it here first. Where you get all this energy from, Mr. Strather?
From my Father above.
Amen.
I can absolutely do nothing, and nobody else can do anything without the big fella. You can't put the right person on the elevator at the right time. That's impossible. But he can. And right now it's aligned. So here it is, everybody in Detroit. I want to fight the good fight. And when I go up to heaven, I don't want the number one thing I did was put a casino in town. You know, I don't want St. Peter said, you know what you do? That's yeah. You just take your money and go to hell, okay?
Listen,
No. Let's get that straight. I don't want to go there with that number one on my resume. Now, if we could take now, our kids when they're born, they come out with these iPads and they're gaming and gaming and gaming. So how about creating competition, STEAM competition, science, technology, engineering, arts, and math, creative gaming centers. And then I want to address those at the very bottom of the barrel, those who may be homeless, and also, you know, like an all-male academy, all-female academy. This is where I'm at, and then in this space I have DPS's full support.
Really?
Right there, yes.
Okay.
And so some of you who are listening may like to opine, like to be a part of, or like to contribute some ideas. And I'd like to give you my phone number.
Well, give it out, Mr.
313-444-9691.
So, Herb, you've done so much. You've built how many Optimist Clubs?
I now have 156 Optimist Clubs. But this Optimist Club, this Liz, will be one of the greatest Optimist Clubs of all times, because it's going to build Optimist Clubs in all the other cities in America.
Okay.
You know, Optimist, everybody, saved my life. It wasn't for that.
For people who are not familiar with you know, the Optimist Clubs, explain to them what it is and how it works.
Optimist clubs consist of adults that get together and sponsor great youth projects. These projects are, many of them are offered through the Optimist Youth Foundation. They're the #1 competitive projects in the world. For example, Junior World of Golf, we raised Tiger Woods, so he was 6 years old, 7 and 8. And I remember when he was like 8 years old, I said, I wonder would he be famous. I said, I bet he's going to be famous. We all thought he was going to be famous, and you can see what happened, you know. Yeah. Barack and Pence both won the Oratorical contest.
Okay.
The Oratorical contest pays $25,000 to the top winner. Now let me tell you something.
I should have been joining and
well, you know something. Look, a lot of you are got little preachers at home. Look, I started really bad. I was forced to take the Oratorical contest because I had to go to speech therapy. I couldn't attend regular class. But look at this, and here's the message, everybody. If you don't have a challenge, forget it. You ain't gonna overcome. You understand? You have got to have a challenge in your life. So stop complaining.
I
Just
would have
overcome the
never.
challenge. So by me having been forced to, in an oratorical contest, after 3 years I won. I became class president of Western High. But I had a 2.0, and I had to have a 2.5 or give it up. And you know what? I resigned, but he held it in escrow, Mr. Panish, the principal, and he says, you got the one card marking to get your grades to 2.5 or you cannot represent Western High School, because we ain't going to have no president walking around with a 2.0. I mean, you can understand that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? I got it up to 2.6.
Okay.
But one of the interesting things about it is I worked full-time at Chevrolet Gear and Axle on Holbrook. And the junction bus took me from Western High School directly there. Now, only God could do that. I didn't have to change buses. One bus. And they let me out exactly at the time my school got out there. And it got me there exactly when I was supposed to. Sometime I was 2 minutes late, 3 minutes late. But most of the time I made it because I ran.
So you've been grinding since day one, basically.
Yes.
Speech, working at the plant, and attending high school, class president, just from day one. Now, listen, I want to go back to the Optimist Club real quick. How often do you all meet?
We meet, well, we have a lot of different Optimist clubs. And those who are interested, please let me know about the Optimist clubs. We meet usually like maybe weekly or monthly. And, you know, it depends on what the purpose is.
Each club is different.
Each club is different. I mean, we have great friendships, great fellowships, essay contests, help them here. Oh, yeah. I mean, we do more than just oratorical contests. We have our essay pay $5,000 to the winner. Our Respect for Law Week, our junior Optimist clubs where they learn leadership skills and ability, and our scholarships. Like I created, along with my other Optimists, I was the president at the time it was created, the Optimist Youth Foundation of Detroit, and I became the major donor. And we've given out 3,900 scholarships. Wow. And a lot of kids may not know because there was Marygrove College. We did remedial scholarships earlier, two kids to one student, and we significantly increased their grades. And then, of course, then the government started paying, so we switched now to high school. And those are seeking high school scholarships. You got kids that will show a burning desire.
Well, Herb, you need to bring this. You know, you talked about DPS and how you have their support. You know, this is something that, you know, I think would be a great idea to put in some of these schools because it's helping you to speak. And then you mentioned about the leadership aspect of it. So I think that, you know, you have a relationship with them. That's something we should think about, you know, implementing inside the schools.
Well, that is great. Now we do have quite a few I've built inside the school, like Western International Optimist Club. There's a lot of.
That's my alma mater.
Well, let me say this, yeah. We have built a lot of them across the schools. Mm-hmm. But the model that worked is alumni. Because let me tell you something. When the teachers get off work, okay, these teachers, most teachers, is not interested in being a member of the Optimist Club. I know.
Maybe they don't have to.
Because
Maybe
they have to work so hard. But here is
maybe.
where it's at. The alumni. Because we adopt a school, but there's always, in every school, there's always one or two that said, I want to be a part of the Optimist. I mean, and those teachers I love, I swear to you, it's always one or two. I mean, and then you know you got a real teacher. I mean, you know it then, you know. But we want to build more Optimist clubs so all the little kids would have a shot like me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? In other words, how about I have a debt that I can never repay. So I'm running for the president of Optimist International. I'm going to either run. Yes, I'm going to make up my mind if I can do it in 60 days. I'm going to run. If not, I'm definitely running next year. But I want to run this year. I think it's time for me to run.
You got so much on your plate right now.
I know I got a lot on my plate.
So you're also an author as well.
Oh, you know something? I got the New York Times book review.
Okay, let's talk
and
about it.
And I'm in the 100 top books. Yes, so I'm very, very happy about it. And it's called Which Way is Detroit? Okay. And what I've done, you know, some people have come to Detroit and made money, and some of them have come and got their butt kicked.
Okay.
I mean, there were some pretty substantial losses that I'm aware of. But how do you go about buying real estate? First of all, do a self-assessment of yourself. If real estate is for you. But you can get into economic activity and generate income. But if we talk about real estate, and which way is Detroit, I have put here there's different zip codes that you should really.
You broke it down by zip codes?
Let's
go to that section.
For example, every zip code here. See, this says B rating, A+ rating. Okay, so they're broken down in terms of how I rate them, and it tells which ones they are. Like 48226 is an A+, 48224 I put a B. Well, I mean 48 if that's downtown, that's prime stuff, and then you got some that may be a C+, 48223, and then it says what it is. It has good income property basically in the area. A rating. It's a hot area, 48221. That's Bagley. That's good. A B- area would be 48219. So we're suggesting 48221 is stronger than 48219. That wasn't always the case.
Really?
No. I said a C 48217. I'm going to put as marginal.
Yeah.
But we went through it. Now we did upgrade this soon. And we have a brand new book, and you can get it on Amazon. And I'm going to ask you all to please get it. You know something? I said that I'm going to share my secrets of how I did $2.2 billion with everybody. And those who want to join me and pull it off and do it, because if somebody want to join, all of my students got to close a deal without putting up money, because I didn't have any money. Hey, you know why I closed $2.2 billion without no money? Because I didn't have any money, hell. But that's what I decided. I didn't have any money. You know what I mean?
So you're teaching students how to do this? How
to structure transactions without putting up money. The very first deal was mine with Sussex and Finkel, a 20-unit. I had a land contract, $140,000, and they had 5 land contracts. I went in there and I negotiated all of them. I got a loan from First Independence National Bank for $140,000, and I discounted everybody out for $100,000. I made $40,000 on my first deal. Now, but that land contract only cost me about $2,500 to get in, and I went in and I was managing it. I mean, but so for example, that $40,000 is non-taxable because you don't pay taxes on borrowed money. The next transaction, it was 190 units on Myers. I got somebody to put up
190 units?
Yeah,
okay.
On Myers and 6 Mile.
Okay.
And so, Village Square Apartments, you understand? So my investor put the money in the bank. They took a assignment of the CD and a second mortgage on the property, or assignment of the land contract, because they wasn't giving Detroiters mortgages back then. No, you could not get a mortgage on an apartment building back then.
So
no.
You had to do land contracts.
You had to do land contracts. That shows how old I am.
You're so funny. So speaking of how old you are, how old were you when you bought that first unit on Sussex and Finkel?
I was 26 years old.
26
right.
years old.
It was 26, and that was my first apartment building. Now, by the time I was at the end of, by the time I was 20, you got to make sure, 28, I had $25 million worth of real estate. I had 1,100 units.
At 28 years old?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, and you know what? Interest rates went to 20%.
Wow.
So
20%?
20%, and everything was tied to the prime rate. Oh my God! You know what I did? So I went from $25 million down to about $4 or $5 million. It was okay. I said okay, but then because I sold a lot of it off, and I did okay. And then I went in and I started selling real estate. I did the biggest transactions of all times in Michigan.
So you did this in reverse. Most people start out doing real estate, transactions, and then they work up to basically becoming an investor and a developer.
Well, both. I did both.
Okay.
I did both but I represented the #1 real estate developers in southeastern Michigan. Now, a lot of the people would not know the names of all of the wealthy Jewish people would know who Hartman and Tyner and Slavic and Emil Rosenhaus and all of these people. They were the biggest and the baddest, and I represented them all. I sold Hunter's Ridge on 43, 14 in Orchard Lake Road. I sold Republic Development $265 million portfolio to the related companies, which is Steve Ross, Ross School of Business, University of Michigan. Just deal after deal. and they wanted to know who was I, who was this kid. I was not 30 years old. They called me in for a speaker, Oakland County Board of Realtors, the commercial board. I'm the only black. There was one other guy, a little black guy, way in the back room. He was trying to look over everybody's head, but it was all white people. But they were staring at me. They wanted to know, who are you? So here's the deal. I got started by having a burning desire, and I bought a book. The book cost me $9.95.
What book was that?
It was income property brokerage. Now, so you know what? Now, there's inflation. People that want to get started, go to Strather. Here, what I like you to do is first go to StratherNewsletter.com. Start right there, StratherNewsletter.com.
How often does this newsletter come out?
Well, we're negotiating right now. They're talking about weekly. I'm saying no. I like the idea of monthly. You know.
Yeah, I don't like being bombarded
Yeah,
every
you know.
week.
I think but you're gonna love the newsletter.
I already do. I received my.
Well, I want you all to go, and I'm going to teach you free. I'm going to tell you everything. And those who want to get in and say, well, I'm ready to take and do it, now you got to do everything I said or how I said. Nobody gets hurt. But then you could join, and you know, but how we have strategies for you. Just take it.
What's the cost?
It's free. The newsletter is free. My book is $25.
Strather Academy. Is there a tuition?
There is, yes. Now, there's several levels too, Steph. One of them you can get started, and it's very, very important. It is how to do income property brokerage. It's a 6-credit-hour course too. Because I'm the past president I am the past president of the Detroit Association of Realtors. So I did write a course for my fellow real estate brokers to take the test.
Okay.
But the test is how to buy an apartment building without putting up cash. Isn't that a cool course? That course there is now but $500. You get 6-hour credit too.
Okay.
Now, if you want to join and say, "Hey, I want to take and make a deal," then you would put up $2,500, but you would use it for your earnest money deposit. You got to come in. You got to be serious if you're ready to buy.
So is that in addition to the tuition that you really haven't discussed?
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. So $2,500.
No.
And that helps. That's their down payment towards the project that they had to put together in order to graduate from the class.
Right, and guess what?
What?
We structured the deal where they should get the money back at the time of closing, tax-free. You don't say, Herb, I'm not slick now. This is nothing slick. It's just let me just tell you this. It's good for our community. I can give you a perfect example. There's a lot of buoyancy in the marketplace, gigantic buoyancy. What do you mean? You could go into Bagley and you could find property now, a 2-flat for $160,000, or you can find one that's sold for $300,000.
Wow, that's a great.
I mean, there's gigantic buoyancy in the marketplace.
Yeah.
Or better yet, how about if you went west of Wyoming as opposed to east of Wyoming when you're between 6 and 7 Mile Road? In other words, when you go west of Wyoming, the prices are dramatically less per square feet and everything. Why? It's psychological. So I say go there and structure the transaction for the highest price possible and pull out the extra cash. You are stabilizing the values in our community. And I say that as a strategy. We got to fight ourselves. We own very little equity in our community. In terms of commercial businesses, we got a whole bunch of businesses.
We do.
But let's talk about those businesses and who really controls us. They got mansions everywhere. You understand? And what do we have? We sit here and we got the car washes and the hair salons and, you know, and a few restaurants and that kind of stuff. All of the car washes, we got 2. Outer Drive and 7 Mile and one on Livernois and near Ewald Circle. 2! And so what are we going to do this year? So are we going to take and make a commitment? Oh, some of you say, well, Herb, I do not like real estate, for example. It may not be for everybody. I tell you what, I told one of my students, who I thought was fascinating what she did. They have like an I travel stay-at-home business. Mm-hmm. If somebody is interested in that, I want you to remember that you could still remember my number, but remember this, I travel, the number 2, .biz. I travel to .biz. And you know what? And I'm not here trying to sell everybody's product or anything because but when I really went through it and saw they were getting 80 to 90% of the fees, and they were showing me how they were. I said, you know what? I'm going to recommend that. And I said, give it to me because I don't want to. And listen, maybe there's something exciting that you have that can be a benefit to our community that share. We got, let's call this our empowerment quarter. Okay, and let's bring everybody that got something to offer, put it on the table that we can become empowered as a community. The time of the day is up. There is a political change of wind that's coming on Monday, and it's cold.
We're gonna talk about that in 1 second, but before we delve into that, how can people contact you again, especially if they're interested in becoming a student at Strather Academy? How can they contact you?
313-444-9691. Just call me up now and say I want to join. 313-444-9691. Or you could go to StratherNewsletter.com. Or you could go to Strather Academy and take the class. Sign up for the class.
Now, the class, is that virtual? Is that in person? And how often do you all meet?
The class will be meeting every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
Every Thursday.
At what
now,
time?
at 6 o'clock. Now now Thursdays is what we call our round table. Now these are people that, you were ready to buy something right now, and you got money now. Or our alumni that's been. I got 2,000 people that have graduated so far. 2,000 students.
2,000 people who graduated from Strather Academy.
Yes.
How long has Strather Academy been in existence?
We've been in existence. It had to be about 15 years, because I remember going on Mason Radio, and I told Mason, everybody, that I was 20 million under, and nobody believed I was $20 million under. And I did it for 2 weeks, make sure everybody understood. And I said, now I'm forming Strather Academy, and watch this. You understand?
Okay.
I've been to this movie several times,
Sometimes, that's how you get back up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely,
Yeah.
everybody. So right now, what I want to do is give everybody the tools to use. There's 18 different ways you could buy real estate without putting up cash. Now, you want to know, how could you do it? I mean, you got NACA and PACE. Just check that out. Property Access Clean Energy, PACE.
Tell people what this is.
Okay, you want to know what it is?
NACA is.
Let me tell you what NACA is. NACA is a program that Bank of America and Citicorp created. Now, it's slow, but it's worth it, because you need no credit, no down payment, and no credit score, no down payment, and no closing costs.
And that's real.
And it's real. And you could structure the transactions so you could structure a transaction that you could afford, just one transaction, and you'll never have to worry about it. You could buy you a commercial building with 4 units on the top, and you could run your business under, as long as you have 4 units on the top. Now, if it's 6 units, you got to convert it to 4. If it's 4 units, that's residential, because a NACA is residential, but you can also have commercial underneath. And under PACE provides you a tax credit for all the energy efficient stuff: roof, windows, plumbing, electrical, and drainage.
You use these two programs.
You use them together, because PACE does not give you a mortgage. It goes on the tax bill. A church could do it. Anybody can do it. It goes strictly on the tax bill and no mortgage. Hell, you could go up and buy an apartment, build one of these commercial buildings right now and just use PACE. Who wouldn't sell you one of those buildings been sitting 25 years up there?
Okay, wait. Slow down a little bit, okay? Because some of our audience, they may be on the level that I'm on.
Well, you better get some water, y'all.
Okay.
We preaching around here.
Listen, going back to PACE, you're saying that you can go and purchase a building using the PACE program,
yes,
without obtaining a mortgage. Please elaborate on that.
Okay. PACE, Property Access Clean Energy, provide financing, but the financing is on the tax bill. So you borrow $100,000 and they fight from PACE. And they amortize it over 20 years on the tax bill. Now, if you don't pay your taxes, because they paid annually in July, and then you could get foreclosed. But hell, it'll take 2 or 3 years to foreclose under a tax bill, for one thing. So it's cool. You don't get wiped out just in case you get behind. But you're supposed to amortize it out. You understand?
Now, how do people get this information? How can you get in contact with PACE and to see if you're even eligible, if this program is beneficial?
Well, first of all, everybody knows you got Google search. You could go PACE, you go to NACA, N-A-C-A, NACA, or just join us. Well, I mean, in other words, look, there's 18 ways. I'm just giving you this one example, but I want you to fully understand what I just said. So you can walk outdoors right now because you've been praying, and there's no accident that you're listening. And you're going to get in your car, and you're going to see a building that you like. And you say, look, you're going to stop at a light, and you're going to look at that building. And you can say, that's it. You could buy the building without any money.
And these are the fundamentals that the students are taught at Strather Academy.
To graduate, yes.
Okay. I have another question about the NACA. Is that just for first-time home buyers?
Yes.
Or is that, oh, okay. Okay. So.
No, wait. You cannot own real estate. It's not just for, I mean, you cannot own any real estate. But you could have owned some property 3 years ago or so.
Which means you're really, even if it was 3 years ago and you go to purchase, now you consider the first-time home buyer. Right.
Under the NACA program. But let me tell you one of the most fascinating things that I can possibly tell you so you really understand. And I want y'all to listen to this here. Under NACA, you could borrow up to 10% more, and you could buy down the interest rate. You could buy the interest rate down. Now, let me make it really, really simple so I don't want to complicate matters for you. But if you have a $100,000 mortgage, you could borrow $110,000. That $10,000, every 1%, you could buy the mortgage rate down 0.25%, a quarter a point. So 2%, you could buy it down half, 3 or 3/4. So for 4%, you could buy the mortgage rate down a whole point. So for 10, you could buy it down 2.5%. Let me summarize it like that.
And that really affects what your monthly payment will be.
Yeah, but so let's just say if it's interest only. If it's interest only at 6%, it's $500 a month. Interest only, $100,000 at 6% is $500 a month. But now interest, I didn't have my calculator, but interest only at $110,000 is probably $4,200. So instead of being $6,000 worth of interest, it's only $4,200. But dig this, and it's still 30 years. It's still the exact same number of payments. Now, I would not suggest this if you plan on flipping because you owe more money on the house initially than what you originally paid. But in 10 years, you break even.
Now, with NACA, I'm glad you said that, if you sold it. Is there a stipulation of how long you must live in the property?
Yes, absolutely. You, I think it's 3 years.
Okay.
You understand that they want you to live in the property now, but there is so many programs right now. Everybody's giving away free money. Every single bank is competing. Citizen Bank, Bank of America just doing it straight out with big money because everybody was so frustrated with NACA how slow it was taking till they was just going to go. So Bank of America kind of just took it on themselves, and they got crushed with inquiries. So they got slow themselves too, but they are moving. But Citizens Bank, you name it, every bank is offering you incentives. And what we say to someone, we have a $9.99 program. You can pay us $9.99. And that's all you have to do, and we'll get you into a house. Now you may have to take you some credit repair stuff or whatever, and you got to attend a few things and do what we need.
$1,000.
Yeah, it's $1,000 really. Okay. I'm not, but it sounds good. $9.99. Here's this $9.99 and 99 cents. That kind of deal.
So I have to ask you the $1 million question
that
everybody wants to know.
And the answer is yes. Okay, go ahead.
What's happening with the buildings on Grand River?
Grand River?
What's happening with Mammoth and what's happening with the towers?
Okay. If I told you that, I would have to kill you. I can't tell you.
Well, we know damn well. Everybody see me on here with you.
Okay. Now let me tell you what I would like to see happen with that. Okay. I would like to see what happened with that, with the ideal similar that we would have with the Renaissance. I mean, in other words, I want to take one of those buildings in the Renaissance, and we're going to take and empower them with our people. If we have to put some special schools, we have to put STEAM centers. That's what it is, STEAM. I would take about, like at the Renaissance, I would take about 10 floors, and I make the baddest STEAM center you ever seen in your life. It would be bells and whistles. It would be off. The roof would come off, and they'll dance in the sky and jump back in the building, the holograms and all of that kind of stuff. We'll have cockpits. Like, let's say one floor could be sponsored by NASA with floatless cockpits and all of that kind of stuff.
You understand what I mean?
No, no. Well, Grand River would be a steam too. Yes.
So,
Yes,
so
yes, yes,
is
yes,
it,
absolutely.
so
Now,
are both
it
buildings
may
being
get
torn?
torn down. That'd be great. I don't care what happened. Torn down is cool. I mean, the city wants to tear it down. Man, that would be super. I mean, if they tore it down and kept it up. Now, my colleagues want to keep it up. Okay. But the thing about it is that we want to make it a special education district, a seed. We're going to do 4 seeds in Detroit, 2 of them, one at downtown in the Renaissance, so we can get that building. Going to have to write a big check. And some of you may be interested. Now, number 2, and we have to put it on the ballot to make it a special educational district. You know, now, we're not going to be asking for millage is because DPS doesn't want me to do that, and that's fine. But I do have a question about homeless, though. There got to be a program, just period, to provide funding for homeless kids. You
Homeless
understand?
kids,
And
yeah.
that if somebody got some ideas on that, would like to share this with me, please 313-444-9691. Let's put aside our differences. See if we could work together as a community to collectively improve our community, because everybody got something to contribute.
So speaking of the community, because I live in that zip code, you know, I'm a homeowner in the area of the
Yes.
building. So is it going to be both sides that are torn down, or is it because there are a lot of businesses in there that are operable right now? You know, you got the
Businesses?
VIP wear on that side.
Oh, you mean Tower Center?
Yes.
Oh, no, Tower Center is not going to be torn down.
Just Mammoth.
Yeah. If it's torn, if anything is torn down, it would be the Mammoth. You understand?
You said if.
Yeah.
So it's not 100% confirmed.
It's not 100% concerned, but I mean, to tear it down and put a brand new steam center would be off the hook. I mean, but here again, you can build onto the existing one. Either way, it's a win. It's a win-win.
But it looks like it needs a lot of work, that old
Of
Mammoth.
course, but it is so solid. It's so hard to tear down. You understand?
Really?
Oh my God, the Foreman Mills was going to move into that building. That's what they were going to move, because they were going to tear it down and going to build it new. It was so. They gave us a report, and it was like you could renovate it by the amount. At that point, the amount it cost to tear down was the amount it cost to renovate it.
I bet that Foreman Mills is probably one of the most busiest Foreman Mills in the city. I mean, that parking lot is always off the hook.
There's no
whenever-
question
that's
about
my
it.
neighborhood.
Right.
It's always
Well, you know,
it's always movement over there. So I will say that it's
Well-
a lot of viable, operable businesses up in there too.
well, you know, it is time that we got together as a community. I'm glad you brought this up,
Mhm.
Steph. Look, Steph, what do we need? Somebody to lead us and feed us and all of this. You know, the Arab community, they run the businesses, they run the restaurants. Why can't families come together? Family businesses come together. If you got a family, you say, look here, y'all, we're going to take one of these McDonald's, and we're going to go back and we're going to get the franchise back from McDonald's.
Yeah.
Go right back and get it. Go
Or
right
how
back and
the
get the
gentleman did
Kentucky
with
Fried.
Burger King back
The
in
Burger
day.
King.
Yeah.
Go back and get the legitimate and let's use a different model. There's some substantial families that is about business. Well, why don't y'all have a business, a family meeting? I mean, why can't we take back our own equity? Come on, Detroiters. I mean, this just doesn't make any sense. Now, if you want a real estate, I'll teach you free. If you can't leave your home because you're there, go in the iTravel business. iTravel2.biz. If you got a great idea you want to bring to the table that can empower us, let's make it happen. But one thing, remember, whatever you do, do it with passion. Don't go after the money. Do whatever you do with
That's
great
right.
passion that you're willing to die
And
for
then
it.
the money will come.
Come with the territory.
I want to go back, okay? I want to go back and talk about relationships.
Let's talk
okay?
about that.
So you talked about these big time relationships that you had with these developers back when you were barely 30 years old, and they want to know, who is this guy? Who is this Herb Strather? How were you afforded those opportunities to build those relationships?
Because I had enough guts to call them up. And I had enough
Okay.
guts to call them up, and I was so scared. I want to tell you something. I remember a young lady. She was living in Village Square Apartments, 17150 Myers, right north of 6 Mile Road. She said, Herb, she said, I think that they would sell those things, Herb. And the rent back then, by the way, was $200. 135 to 235. It wasn't 200. It was 135 to 235. That was quite a while ago. And the rents were low. I said, they're at least $100 low. And I said, I could go in there and jack those rents up, and it's 190 units. I said, wow, I would make $19,000 more just like that. I mean, I was very excited about the whole shot. So I went and I made an appointment. I called up the guy. I kind of deepened my voice. Hi, Mr. Tyner. My name is Herb Strather. Yes, sir. You have a building there on Building Square. Yeah. He said, yeah. I said, I would like to. I got an offer for you, and I have a partner there, and his name is Grenadier. Now, I called Grenadier earlier because on the building he had on Greenfield. So you got to be able to have guts. Like, how many of you got enough guts to call me? How many? Okay, you got to have the guts. So he says, okay, so I'm going to present this offer. And I remember my main man, Ron Simpson. He owns Century 21. And here's what happened. Ron was with me then. He was one of my agents there. And so I bought me a brand new suit, orange tie, burnt orange, and it was gray with plaid. And I was in the mirror and I was looking at it. He said, oh, man, you got your new suit. I said, yeah, I'm fixing to go see Herb Tyner. He said, what, you bought a new suit to present the offer? I said, hell yeah. You serious? Of course. I was like, Don, look, man. He said, man, okay. I said, yeah, man. I went and bought me a new suit. So when I walked in there, I wanted him to know that I was a bad boy. Do you understand?
So
I didn't take any. My mentor was God. No. A catastrophic event identifies you. I hope you've had something very challenging. And if you overcome it, that identifies you. That qualifies you. If you haven't had an event like that, then your chance of getting rich is not that great. Get rich before you get rich, or you will never get rich. Now, you have to develop your right mental attitude, and how do you do it? You overcome these, quote, catastrophic events. What is so catastrophic? You know what happened to me? I got my butt put outdoors when I was a little kid. Set outdoors. Can you imagine? I cried. And all the neighbors out there looking at you. And they would join the two neighbors. They would go and they would be talking. They talk in pairs. You understand? I mean, look at these people. And I was saying, if I ever get out of this deal, if I ever get out of here, it created such a burning desire in me. But what happens when a catastrophic event happened to you? How did you react to it? How are you reacting to this? You going to take your butt kicking? Are you taking your butt kicking laying down? Get up!
But in addition to desire, you must have the knowledge. And so that was my initial question.
Yes.
Who mentored you in real estate so that you felt armed enough?
Oh, that's a good question.
On top of having a new suit and the guts to go in there.
That person was a lady by the name of Darylyn Bowers.
Hey, Miss Bowers, shout out.
Darylyn Bowers.
On the show, Miss Bowers.
I want to tell you that. She was my mentor. When I was 19 years old, I went to Bowers Realty. And I said, Miss Bowers, because I still started something too.
Okay.
And she says, and so I asked her if I could join her, and she says, okay, but she told me that I had to get a listing every day, one a day. Okay.
Miss Bowers don't play.
I said, okay. So here again is having the guts. So she shook hands. I joined her. So do you know what I did?
What?
I got in my car when I left. When she says I could do a listing a day, I said, okay. I went out and I went directly to where I started getting the listings. I went to the corner of Pembroke and not, I think it was Blackstone, right there. And then 20223. So anyway, I went over there and I listed that house on the southeast corner, and then immediately as I was leaving, I went down and got another listing. I came back the same day with two. I says, wow, listen, I got 19 listings, and I became famous. Everybody would say, who is this? So then I have all these great skills. Yeah, she told me, what I could do and what to say. Now I'll tell you, if you got a burning desire, then join me. And if you don't.
Okay.
Stay home.
Stay home. Now,
send your kids.
How did you get your book to be on the New York bestseller?
Well, when I wrote this book, Steph, I got so many calls, people calling me and calling me and calling me. I got about 20 different publishers, all these people calling me. So we had to interview them and figure out which one we're going to do our publicist and help do the marketing. So I just got it out. I haven't really gotten the marketing hooked up. I wanted to be all out at Wayne County Airport and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm looking for someone that would like to help me with the marketing. I'm also looking for someone that would like to get involved if we're going to put this matter on the ballot to save our city and to help save our kids, the homeless. I'm looking for that. So we need to take, as a community, and you could correlate this stuff. You got a perfect show to make it happen, and you got activists, you got my realtors. Let us join together. I know we got Detroit Association of Realtors and Greater Detroit Realty Association. We have a lot in common.
And we must give a shout out to the Greater Detroit Realtors Association.
There's no question about it.
I want to give a congratulations to you, Renee Johnson, as our new president.
Renee, congratulations, our president. You did a good job there.
I love our association. I love our group. I love overall NARAB.
Yes.
And what it represents.
Oh, man, it's getting better and better and better and better.
Are you going to the conference?
I'm going to be, unfortunately, at the exact same time I'll be having
the Baptist conference.
No. My surgery.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So that's what it is.
We're praying for you, Herb.
Thank you. Do
yes,
that. But I will be at the one, the big one
in LA. Okay. So real quick, how can people? The time is winding down. How can people purchase the book? Which Way is Detroit? Can they get it? How can they get it?
Okay. Now, Which Way is Detroit? You could get the book directly by going to Amazon or Walmart, or if you go to StratherNewsletter.com. I think you can get it right on there too.
Okay.
Or Strather Academy.
You always got to plug that Strather Academy. Listen, how many books have you authored, Herb?
I've authored really 2 books, but probably because of my series of I've authored 3 different books. Getting Rich is Easy one, and Leveraging Real Estate. That's a 5-book series. And Which Way is Detroit? And I'm going to be doing a podcast, and the name of the podcast is Herbert Street.
Okay, that's where it all started.
Herbert Street.
Gotcha.
I'm Herbert.
From Herbert Street.
From Herbert Street.
Thank you so much for stopping by and coming on the show and sharing like you always do. I hope that, and I'm sure you have, inspired someone to feel their passion, their desire, whatever that is, whether it's real estate or travel or getting out in the community and being an activist and helping the kids. I'm sure you've inspired somebody to do something today. You've inspired me to go and take and look into what PACE is, because that's my next move. I absolutely need to have a commercial building.
That is really, really big. And if you structure the transaction right, remember this, you can take cash out. And not a little bit. Just think about it. Because commercial buildings is based upon what the lease amount is, whatever somebody's going to lease it for. So just think about PACE is a perfect transaction for you.
Okay.
And listen, those of you who have churches or affiliated, let's say your church need a roof. Your church need to buy the parking lot and put gravel on it so you don't have the big water bill. You know what? You could use PACE.
So, Herb, what do you want Detroit to know about you? Because you're probably one of the most controversial, talked about real estate professionals here in the city. You've been around for so long, doing it big and small. What do you want the city to know about Herbert J.
well,
Strather
well,
from Herbert Street?
well. I want to fight the good fight, and I want to keep my commitment to the little kid in me. I am a little kid inside. The little kid made a commitment a long time ago that I did not even want to grow up. I want to represent me, us, the little kids, and I had some very clever words for the adults, because I didn't think y'all came back to look after us very much. So what my job is to look after us. So right now, it's probably the fourth quarter, maybe the beginning of the fourth quarter, I hope. But I have a little kid. It'd be a commitment from a little kid.
Real quick, what you gonna think? How do you think things are gonna be looking after Monday? I'm just saying.
Let's
in terms
just
of
pray.
the climate of
Maybe
our
it's,
country.
well, we have to pray. I mean, I don't know. I mean, he doesn't have another chance to get reelected, so it looks to me like he can make different choices now. I don't know, but let's just pray and hope, really, for the best. But what do? We now have to focus on ourselves, and maybe this is a chance for you to take and get into business, to go find that property you want, that you want to buy and stuff. And maybe and to go back to church and align with infinite intelligence, and to really pray. I would love. There is a little thing. I think it's like $99 stuff. It's like getting started, and I would love for someone to go get that. If you go to Strather Academy, I think you can get it right there, and it's only $99. But let me tell you, it also talks about BYOB, be your own bank. One of the things that we do for our students, we'll loan you $50,000 for 48 hours. You put the money in your name, and you have your LLC borrow it back out, and then you give us our money back. Now, you got to do it right, or you'll screw it up. If you sign the
Is
note,
this legal? This almost sounds,
no, you can do that. What you mean? Is it legal?
I mean, putting the money in there.
No. If I
borrowing against
no,
it.
because you could. I mean, it's just balance sheet building. And you got to pay as agreed. You got to be responsible and pay this. Now, let me tell you something. You could just have an automatic debit, and it automatically is paid. But at least you got to have the interest in there, because that, of course, is the question is how much spread do you get. Now, this is not being slick or anything like this. This is trying to say, can we? If you want to get $50,000, there's two ways to do it. You can start off with the 50 and amortize it. Or you can just start building it up. 1,000, next year I got 2,000, next year I got 3. You can do it either way you want to do it. I start off with the 50 because after 6 months, I don't have any inquiries on how I got it. You understand? In other words, the banks don't ask how. You're sitting up there with it. And let me tell you, if you pay as agreed, like you go to Navy Federal and you pay as agreed, after 6 months, they'll release the security. If you have to negotiate that answer, they release the security. They've done it on 3 or 4 occasions. Now, most of it was around 10 grand. They released the security. Now, isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is.
Now, listen, you're still building up your credit on your LLC, and you got the cash in your name. Look, if you're about to close a deal, before you go finance, why don't you call me? Why don't you call me?
And tell them how they can call you before we check
313-444-9691. The last move that my student made was so cool, because the bank said the bank was going to give them a loan for $272,000, which was 80% of the 340. But they turned around and said they'd do it for $255 because they just wanted to go 75%. I said, well, go ahead and give us the $272, and we'll leave $17,000 up in cash. And we'll put up a CD. They said, okay. So they gave us the $272. What we did is just brought the $272 and left it up. So now I'm back to the same bank in a similar thing. How about if you just borrow the whole price? You say you borrow the whole selling price, but you got to put down 20%. Okay, borrow the whole price and leave the 20% up. Now, you got to have the 20% in cash up front. In order to do that, Because they say, you just borrowed the money. You ain't slick. No, no. If you have the cash up front, or you show that you have the cash up front, you can pull it off. Now, I'm not sure everybody understood what I just said, but I just gave you some of the first steps to get rich. BYOB, and then finally on that first $99 deal is you setting up your own entity. And I want you to listen to this, and this is all I got to say. Listen to this very carefully. Go to Google, and I want you to type in intentionally defective grantors trust. Intentionally defective grantor trust. IDGT.
IDGT. Thank you again for stopping by and providing all that good knowledge. I have some homework to do thanks to you. And thank you, Detroit, for tuning in every week to Beauty in the D, where we focus on power, wealth, and style on Wjzz Cool TV. See you all next week. Take care and go Lions.